Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Now, before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's an Amazon FBA business created in July of 2018 in the occasions and gifts, office supply, and equipment niches. And the average monthly revenue for the business is $166,749 and makes an average of $42,870 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are a domain including all site content and files, an additional domain, an Amazon Seller Central account with 2 storefronts, so there are 2 brands and 10 SKUs, supplier relationships, a Shopify account, a Walmart account, social media accounts, which include Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, 7 trademarks, an email list with a little over 900 subscribers, SOPs, brand assets, and just as a disclaimer, inventory isn't usually included in the list price, but further details can be provided upon request. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 65838 to learn more about the business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Nate. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Nick. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So really my first e-com business was back in college. I went to school as an engineer and had a number of internships where I went and worked for companies. And I kind of at that point decided I wanted to be my own boss. So while I was in college, I started my first e-com business, and that was selling collegiate apparel. And this was back in 2000. Since then, my wife and I, we've started in 3 different businesses. The first one was a sit-to-stand desk. So we invented, designed, patented, and sold one of the first stand desks on the market. And we sold that back in 2020. This brand we started in 2018, and we've been building up. And then there was another brand in the outdoor space that we started in 2020, and we actually sold that brand last year.
Very cool. It seems like you're very much immersed in the physical product space and the e-commerce space in general. Would you say that's kind of influenced by your experience as an engineer, or is there another reason why you have chosen to firmly stick with this business model?
I don't know. I think as an engineer, I have that analytical data forward mind. So I'm kind of good at crunching the numbers and figuring out what's going to work, what'll be profitable. And then my wife, she's awesome at coming up with great ideas, the design side of things. I think that I'm good at it, but she's actually quite a bit better than me. So I kind of think the tag team duo is really what brought about the different brands we've started.
Nice. That combination of the creative and the analytic. Very nice. So it sounds like you're not new at building these businesses and selling them. So this question might be just a natural phase that you're at now, but I'll just ask, why are you deciding to sell the business instead of keeping it and growing it further?
It's the same reason we really sold our other 2 companies. We enjoyed the building part, the creative aspect that goes in, starting something from scratch. We build it to a certain point, and then it's ready for somebody to take it to the next level and to really scale it. So we feel that this business is at that point. Yeah, I think it's time to hand it off to somebody else. Plus, we want to take a trip to Europe and spend a couple of months traveling around Europe, which we haven't been to in some time. And I think after that, we're going to start the process over again and maybe we'll be talking to you again in a couple of years.
Nice. Well, I do hope so. And yeah, you're definitely not alone in that sentiment. And it's something that I hear quite often from business owners that they love the creation phase and then they realize that they don't like the operation phase as much. It could even be an amazing business to run, and many of them are if they're even in a position to exit. But that's kind of that first indication where they know that they're ready to pass this on to a buyer who's really into the operations side and the scaling side.
Yeah. And, we always wanted to keep things lean, which we've done for our different businesses. And it's just my wife and I. I mean, we'll outsource here and there things to Fiverr for somebody maybe to change the file format of an image that we need done. We've had a couple of professional videos made, but mostly it's just my wife and I. And that's how we like it. We don't want to have a big team. We don't want to manage a bunch of employees or VAs. So yeah, we just like to keep kind of the lean business, and to really expand a business from 2 million in revenue to 20 million in revenue. I think you need to go beyond that.
Yep, that makes complete sense. Okay, well, you've certainly been on a journey with this business from, well, at least from what I can tell from looking at the listing, the traffic and revenue graph over the past couple of years. So can you tell me, what did you learn from building this that worked that you think contributed to the success of this business? I guess I'll first say I'm aware that there are two separate brand lines or product lines here. So I'll let you answer that as you would like to, whether just overarching for the entire business, if that applies, or if you wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about one product line or the other, that's perfectly fine to do that.
Okay, sure. There's a couple of things that worked, and I would say it had to do with really both product lines. And the first, maybe it's pretty obvious, right? It was from the beginning picking the proper brand or niche to go into. So, I mean, we wanted to pick something that had large growth potential and maybe obvious something with really high margins. So that worked out well for us. I mean, you look at the current economy, how expensive freight had gotten during COVID. Amazon continues to increase their fees. Playing in the PPC space is getting more and more expensive. So the fact that our margins were so high was really a win for us. And I think that goes back to the beginning of what products we chose and the quality of the product we wanted to deliver. Even with all the difficulties in 2022, our margins were still over 25%, which was lower than what they were in 2021, but still a pretty solid profit margin. And then another thing I would say is just having a good supplier. So we have a few suppliers that we work with now that all are really good suppliers, but we have one who works more as a partner. So some of our products are bundled together. And this one particular supplier, they actually communicate with the other suppliers for us, get the products domestically, bundle it together, package them together, and then handle all the freight forwarding for us as well. So I think something that's really worked for us is just having solid partners, and especially this one partner that makes our lives so much easier from a sourcing and logistics standpoint.
Yeah, it sounds like that partner handles many crucial tasks. And I'm interested, how did that decision come about to make what sounds like could have been a manufacturer or an agent? How did that work in terms of deciding that they'd become a partner? Because it sounds like that was a pretty wise decision as far as getting the business to where it has come to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it really just happened organically. So in the beginning, when we started doing some of these bundled products, we were trying to figure out who would handle that for us so that we didn't have to touch the product. And this one supplier who was supplying a couple of items for us was always on point, incredibly professional, timely, had good pricing, and checked all the boxes. And he said, "Hey, I can do more. I can source additional products. I can handle this bundling. I can even take care of your freight forwarding and all that." And really happened from this supplier stepping forward and saying, "Hey, I can do this for you," which has worked out great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And going back to what you mentioned about how you ultimately arrived at these products, how you selected these products, Do you feel like your selection process has evolved over time? Because I know you mentioned you started out, or earlier you were doing sit to stand desks, which are a lot heavier, larger, I imagine more expensive, and maybe the logistics are a little bit different from that. I guess, has your decision making towards what kind of products to get into changed over time as a result of your previous experiences?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Using the standing desk as an example, yeah, that's a big, heavy object. Now, when we started that business, we were just dipping our feet into understanding Amazon and selling through Amazon. The largest value in that business and brand was the brand and then the patents that came with it, not our Amazon sales. Although we sold it on Amazon, we had learned in terms of, choosing products, at least the brands, I should say, those came from my wife and I really kind of paying attention to the market, doing some brainstorming, figuring out what we saw a need or what we wanted to do. I mean, that standing desk happened because I wanted a standing desk and I looked at what was on the market and it just didn't exist. This brand we're talking about today was something that my wife had been wanting to do for a number of years because she saw a gap in the market and knew she could do it better. Now, we did do kind of the traditional go use helium 10, Jungle Scout, and kind of do the data version of trying to find products to sell. And, that was fun. We went to Yiwu, China and found some products that way. But the truth of the matter is the success that we've had have been not in just those individual products, but it was around the main brands that we have.
Yeah, for sure. And along with the two products here, I see that there are 7 trademarks. So it seems like, to me, that says you're really prioritizing making sure that this is a brand that can last and that you have intellectual property to support that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one defensible aspect of the business that's been important and that we wanted to have.
Got it. Okay, so that was a lot of things that worked. Was there anything you learned from building this or something that you tried that didn't work out as well? Maybe marketing strategy or a type of product that you launched that wasn't as successful?
Yeah, I mean, since 2018 or so, when we started this brand, we tried quite a few different things and different products. And yeah, we definitely have. I mean, I would say most recently, what didn't work or needs improvement is PPC mistakes that we've made. PPC has become so important on Amazon. And I think we certainly have not perfected that, just how to do PPC management most efficiently. I mean, there was a couple months in 2022 where we tried some things and we plummeted our margins down to like around 16% for 2, 3 months. And we've subsequently brought them back up, but we've learned that, PPC right now isn't our strong point and we're trying to educate ourselves better, or maybe it'd make sense for a third party. But I think that's something that hasn't worked extremely well for us. And then I'd say that running out of inventory never works. We've run out of inventory a couple of times and then it just causes the mess of having to pretty much restart a product and all of that. So we've learned from that. And we've kind of learned that we rather have more inventory than run out.
Yep, got it. All things that are learning lessons, but also opportunities that I can see with this business for growth, which we can discuss in a little bit. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about traffic, how traffic is generated. So I know this business is it's pretty much an Amazon FBA business, though I see that there is a Shopify account and a Walmart account. Did you want to speak to any other ways that traffic is generated?
Yeah, I mean, 99% of the revenue is through Amazon US. And yeah, that's mostly organic sales with some paid PPC. We have started to do some testing with Facebook ads and Google ads, and we're finding some good results there. Yeah, it's Amazon, organic, and PPC right now, but I think there's a lot of room for growth to start pushing some external traffic, whether it's to the web page itself and or back to Amazon.
Got it. Sounds good. Another growth opportunity here. So let's talk about the work required. I know this business has been operating for a little bit of time now. So can you describe the amount and the type of work that you and your wife do on this business for maintenance?
Yeah, so we're at around 2 million in revenue right now, and the amount of effort to generate that or maintain that it's really low. Some weeks we'll work a couple of hours only, if that, and other weeks we'll be working a few hours. Maybe it makes sense because you mentioned that there's two brands in the sale, kind of differentiate the two. So there's one brand that generates about 20% of revenue, and this I call our blue chip brand. And that's because it continuously, with very, very low effort, continues to generate solid revenue and profit. And again, it's around 20% of the business. There's room for growth there, and it's low cost, little effort to maintain and to grow it. The second brand doesn't take a ton of effort to run either because now it's running smoothly, but it's the brand that has, I think, really potential for explosion. It's got a solid brand foundation now, but it could really be taken to the next level and have that, 10x, 100x growth in the next few years. So with that said, brand one, the blue chip brand, that may take an hour a week at most, whereas brand two takes, maybe 5 hours a week. And really all that is submitting purchase orders a few times a year, reviewing inventory and saying, hey, does our 3PL need to ship in more inventory into Amazon or not? Typically, we'll do that every couple of weeks. During the holidays, I'll probably look at it twice a week instead of every other week. We're doing our PPC management and then really our basic accounting, updating our P&L spreadsheet once a month. And other than that, there's really not a ton to just maintain the business. But then, of course, additional work can be required if wanting to aggressively grow and launch a bunch of products and maybe expand into other marketplaces, et cetera.
Nice. So it sounds like what you would expect from the normal operations of running an Amazon FBA business, with a lot of potential for growth if somebody wanted to take it in that direction. So I think that leads us nicely into the next question, which we've been skirting around, which is about the opportunities. You mentioned that one of the product lines or the brand lines you think has 10x opportunity to really grow if you did something with it. So if you were to keep the business and you were to grow it, what are the ways that you would try to grow either both of the brand lines, or you can answer this for one or the other?
Yeah, sure. So like in the listing on Empire, Flippers have listed about 15 growth opportunities because I think there is just a ton of room for expansion with the business. I won't go into all 15 here, but I think maybe the top ones are, first of all, just product expansion. Both the brands, we have a pipeline of products that could be launched and ones that, we've partially vetted or fully vetted or just kind of started the process on, but they're both well suited to expand their product lines. Second would probably be expanding into other markets. We've only ever sold on Amazon US, but obviously a lot of buyers have experience or would want to take it to other markets, which would be an easy way for expansion. And specifically from our research, the United Kingdom, Europe, Canada, and Mexico are probably the best markets. We do also have a Walmart account where Walmart approved us to sell through them, but we haven't utilized it yet. So that's another avenue. And then I think there's big room for growth to boost outside traffic. Again, whether that's to our webpage or just to Amazon, I don't think that we've taken advantage enough of social media, influencers, Google ads, and just kind of general SEO back-end internet optimization that's going to help push customers to the webpage or to Amazon. Mentioned it before, improving PPC management. That's definitely an opportunity. And then there's a couple of things that are just going to happen organically. We launched a couple of products last year. They're still getting their footing. Their margins are starting to increase. So they're increasing reviews and everything. So all the things that come with a newer product needing to kind of get its solid footing within Amazon. And then our cost of goods are going to go down a bit just because shipping costs are dramatically reducing right now. And some of our suppliers are reducing costs. I think those are a few of the items.
Yeah, certainly a lot of opportunity here. And I think that's a good point that you mentioned about having launched some SKUs that are still finding their footing. They're validated, but they need time to mature on the Amazon FBA platform. And through that, increasing their margins as their organic ranking improves, essentially. And I can certainly see one of your brand lines, yes, being a great product type for subscriptions and for certain types of social platforms or advertising, like a certain social media advertising campaigns. So, depending on what type of skill set or growth desire a specific buyer has, I could see this being a great fit for specific buyers.
Yeah, and we don't sell any of our products as a subscription with a subscription model. There would be, I think, room for that, but that hasn't been part of our strategy.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's an unexplored area that could potentially see it an easy, at least test, or I was going to say easy transition to that type of model, but I could see somebody being able to test that out pretty easily to see if there's potential traction there.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. We talked about opportunities. Now let's get a little bit into the risks. What do you think are the biggest risks with this business or this business model that you think a buyer should be aware of?
I think the biggest risk is it's really just not growing the brand in a place that's it's just ready to grow and go to the next level. It has a solid foundation. And I think to really take off and to get that revenue, that profit flywheel really spinning hard and growing, it just needs to be grown. So I think really the greatest risk is just not doing that, just not taking the business to the next level where it's really poised to go with its solid foundation and in the niche that it's in. It's just poised for so much growth.
Yeah. So just not getting it to that flywheel status. That is an exciting point to potentially get it to. So definitely one that would almost be ashamed to not grow it to that level. Okay. So a few housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer?
On the listing, we put 60 days. I mean, that probably won't be required, but we want whoever buys the business to be successful. So we're open probably for, pretty much whatever. I mentioned before, we have a pipeline of various products that we would launch. And we, of course, would love to help the buyer pursue any of that. If they need help with the pipeline or maybe new product design ideas and kind of the process we go through. So again, yeah, we just want the buyer to be successful with it.
Awesome. That all sounds like it would be really valuable for a buyer to get your help with that. Okay. And just confirming that you commit to a non-compete after this business is purchased?
Yes.
Perfect. And are you open to something like an earnout?
Yeah. All cash is always great, but depending on the structure, yeah, we definitely would be open to an earnout. The two businesses we sold in the past, one had an earnout, one didn't. So sure. Yeah, we're open.
Okay, great. And putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
It's low touch, has really good margins. You're getting two brands, which maybe sounds like that's more work, but it's actually not. The one brand, if a buyer digs into the details of it, is again super easy to manage and run and to even low cost to grow it a little bit. That's just kind of a little revenue cash provider. And then the other brand is the exciting, fun brand, brings joy to people and has the big potential growth and has just the solid branding around it. So you get the two brands that are valuable brands in their own right. One is incredibly low effort with high margins. The other brand is low effort with high margins as well, but it's something that could really be grown and be exciting to build upon.
Yeah, I can definitely see that with that second product type. Cool. Well, last question then. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
Yeah, I mean, the brand is really just poised to grow and be taken to the next level. Maybe a couple of things that are worth noting is our return rate is really low at like 1.4%. We have next to no customer support needed. I mean, we're fielding maybe 1 to 2 customer emails a week. We're also not seasonal because of the category we're in. Sometimes people think that it's a seasonal brand, but our revenue is actually spread out well throughout the year. Any given month is anywhere from 7% to 10% of revenue. So it's not like we have a huge reliance on a certain time of year. That's kind of nice having that solid revenue stream. And I think other than that, we've covered it, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think the way that I'm interpreting this is that this is a business that it comes with two brands. It's a diverse business in that sense, but it's also a business that's right now in this window of time or this opportunity where it's prepared for some really exciting potential growth. So very curious to see where this business goes over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. As am I.
Great. Well, I think on that note, this will be the perfect time to wrap this up. So, Nate, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And I do hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nick. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 65838. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.